Welcome, everybody. We'll be starting right at the top of the hour here today, about 3 minutes from now. Looking forward to it. Yep. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Glad you're here today. It's an exciting day here. Let me turn this down a little bit. Yeah, we're starting. We're trying to decide whether it's winter or summer here. So, if you look at the big map, you'll see that it's getting kind of warm here lately. Today we have our first cooler day. It's about 85 degrees today, so it's been very comfortable. Anyway, welcome everybody. I'm so happy that you're here with us today. I'm going to bring you over here right away. We'll get started. We've got a lot to go with today, but also I'm very excited about bringing Sandy back. Sandy Sedgbeer is with us here again today. Sandy she's an incredible editor. She does a whole lot of things. She'll tell you a little bit about some of the things that she does. She's the editor of my first 3 books, and I think maybe more than that. I don't really remember. But she's the person that I always count on to really look things over and to do a really good job. Anyway, she's done so many interviews for such a long period of time, for several years with the Virtual Light broadcast, and we are very honored to bring her back. Now, she's not really going to be doing the interviews like we used to do. We got to a point where it simply wasn't working for us. So what I've asked her to do is to focus on the books, because that's her expertise anyway. She has a special radio show that she does every week, I think. I don't remember, but I think she does it every week. And she brings in these famous authors, right? But instead of talking about their book, she asks them to tell her their favorite books and to find out, what their favorite books and which books help them to influence them in their lives and things of that nature. And that's exactly what I did with her. I asked her to come in and give me her favorite books, the books that really move her and really work with her. So anyway, Sandy will be back. We hope to bring this every month. We'll see how things go. We're always altering things and changing things. Of course, Meg Adamson is here with us. Last month was just incredible. The wisdom that she lays down in this. It's anywhere from 30 to maybe 15 to 30 minutes, but that little segment can go on and on and on with you for quite some time. So anyway, we're very honored to have Meg be part of the team here and continue on with us. So she will be bringing a beautiful piece in today as well. I haven't seen it yet, so it'll be new to me too. Allison, absolutely with us. Allison is a psychological astrologer. She's pretty well known in the UK for being on BBC. She does she does a really interesting thing where she does a lot of readings and so forth in astrology on some of the famous politicians, which is really kind of interesting. You can tell who's coming into power and what kind of cycle it is. So anyway, we don't do politics in here, so we left that completely out. But she brings us some incredible stuff every month. So, and Meg and Allison both do private sessions. Sandy does private work as well. She works with authors. She loves to help you tell your story. She works in a lot of different ways with things. So anyway, we'll be sure to tell you that as well. I do want to tell you that we are still going through massive changes here at Espavo. Obviously, things are up in the air. We've done a lot of changes, and we're still doing changes. We're looking for people that want to come on board as volunteers to handle certain things as well. We do have a lot. We do have about 3 openings right now that I can put people into. I'll be happy to describe that to you more, but it's not really about me telling you exactly what I need. What I'm really interested in is finding people that want to not only help and be a part of this team, but also add their own stuff and be able to bring the higher aspect of all of it in. So rather than write a specific list, I did that in the beginning, and it worked. We got some people to fill some of those places. But the reality is, I'd much rather just have you give us a call. Give us. You've got that. Let's see if I got the right one. Yeah, it's on that side down at the bottom. There's a blue button on every single page on Espavo. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll have to go to espavo.org to find that. But in there, you can simply write a note to the help desk. I monitor the help desk. Every ticket that comes through, I see at some point. So write to me. Tell me what's going on. If you want to help, you want to be a part of it, or you are really good with certain things, let's do with that. One of the things that we're working with right now is social media. I do have a person working with social media, but I have a feeling there's room for several more. I have a feeling for the ideas that we have that we want to put out, that we're liable to have room for people to come in and kind of help us with some of the social media aspects of this as well. So anyway, if you have something you love to do and you want to be part of this team, we are rearranging a lot of things right now to still try and cover things and we basically laid off the staff, the paid staff, and we feel it. I mean, they were doing a job. There's no 2 ways about it. They were doing work, and they were doing some incredible work. But we're going to rearrange things in a different way, and that I'm very excited about too, because we're going to bring it into a little bit closer. So that's one of the things that I'm excited about to tell you about and let you know is coming. We're going to go into the channel here today and be able to bring you that. And of course, like I said, from Meg and Allison and Sandy as well, to bring you a little bit more. Our intent here is, and we moved this to Saturday. I hope you all like that, being on the weekend. I personally like it a little bit better. Yeah, it eats into my weekend, but I think what we saw was when we did it during the week and we did it in other places, people were generally not watching it until the weekend anyway. So we brought it together to you on Saturday. We're going to be doing several new things this coming year having to do with the GlobalLight. One of them is to come together every time we have something important going on. And that's something that we will continue to do. I've been doing that now already, and we'll be doing that more. We're also going to be doing that with Lightmaster, which I'll tell you about in just a minute. So we hope to be a part of the solutions on planet Earth. That's the idea. When we all come together and hold hands, we can create miracles. No two ways about it. So that's what we're planning on going for and do it. Yesterday was the first Light Master class. Now, I've been talking a lot about Light Master. I know it's very confusing for some people because we blend the Light Master course with the other 2 days, the 2 focus days that we do every month. So if you're not familiar with what we're doing, we basically have 2 focus days this month. It was on channeling. We taught a channeling course for the first 2 days of the month, first 2 Fridays of the month. The second 2 Fridays, which the first one we did yesterday, is all about the Light Master course. Light Master is the, I want to say the higher end of things that we do here at Espavo, but they really put it into really beautiful words yesterday when they talked about it. They said it's basically an elite lightworker force that is coming together. Now, it's important to describe that word elite because they went back and actually talked about that. It's very easy. We're seeing a lot of elitism on this planet, and a lot of it is meant to separate people. That's not what we're doing. We want this force, this group of beings that can come and work on things on Earth, not to put us in a higher state, but to bring people together, to bring people to where we can be in communication again together in those ways. And that's a key element about this, to be able to have this new energy, to hold this much light and still be able to be human, still be able to share, still be able to make mistakes, still be able to laugh and talk and do all the rest of it. So that's where we're going here today. And I did want to bring that up to you and let you know a little bit about that. We'll be going into channeling in just a couple of minutes here in this first channel, but I did want to talk a little bit more about the Light Masters to begin with. Light Master is a group that we've had together for 11 years now. And this will be actually the 12th year that we're going through the Light Master evolution. What it is the newest material from the group. And many times they will bring in the brand new material there, which we kind of prepare, and then we'll bring it back and give you even an extended piece of that. We have a lot of capabilities with the Light Master course that we're starting now. It just began. Now here's the biggest challenge about the Light Master that we've experienced all these 11 years so far, and that's that there's one entrance. You join at a specific day. If you don't get in then, you got to wait a year to get back in. That has changed. You can now join Light Master at any time you wish. Okay? Now that's a little confusing because we do a lot of advanced work. I don't go back and describe everything all over again. That would be a real waste of time for the people already here. So here's what we've done. We have a special Light Master entry library that I have made. Now, right now, there's probably 4, maybe 5 hours worth of material in there. And what it is all the basic stuff for Light Master. It talks about the red light. It talks about the vagus nerve. It talks about the exercises we do at the beginning of each Light Master course. It talks about the peripheral vision. It talks about a lot of the things that we do every time that we're not going to be describing. We're just going to go in and do them every month and every week and move past that. So if you want to find out about that and you're new to Light Master, when you join Light Master, you get a link. And that link will be right below the window. And that link will lead you into the library. Now, the entrance library, there's 2 different libraries. So I'll say Light Master entrance library. That library has, like I said, it's about 4 or 5 different sections in there. Yesterday, we did an incredible channel at the beginning of the Light Master course, the first one. And it was about 45 minutes long. And it basically told everyone how the group sees us and what they want what to do with the Light Masters going forward. And we put that channel into this library. So everyone coming in can go through this library at your own time. That's whenever that works. Excuse me a minute. And when that works. It can kind of bring you up to speed. So when you ask your questions and so forth, it's not like we have to go start over again. And also at the beginning, every time we do the vagus nerve, I don't have to re-describe it every time. We're just going to move much faster in LightMaster than we've moved before. And as new things come up, I'll put it in that library. We also have another library as well that talks about certain aspects and certain points. When we have a course that describes some of these things, I will put it at the bottom of the course. So you'll actually see a link at the bottom of these windows here that you're watching this in. And this is on the website, not on YouTube, because we're also broadcasting right now on YouTube. Also, for you guys on YouTube, thank you for coming. I want to do more with YouTube, okay? I know it's been kind of a challenge to keep everything going in different ways, but I will tell you, I want to do more with YouTube. So we're going to be doing probably some interactive things and be able to work with people in different ways. I'm looking a lot forward to that. So anyway, be aware of that. The one thing that we are cutting down on, just so you'll know, we're cutting down on the amount of emails that we sent out. Now that is certainly affecting our numbers. We're not getting as many responses and as many signups as we did in the beginning. We know that. We're aware of that. But we're also having a challenge because things are working differently in these days. And what is taking place is our mailing list, which used to be our lifeblood, is not as important as it used to be. And what has happened is over periods of time, it started out way in the 60,000 range and has worked its way down over periods of time and so forth. We're trying to make sure that it's people that really want this and so forth. So anytime that person doesn't open their email for a few times, we take them off. So we clean the list quite a bit. Now, what I want to tell you about that is that make sure you're on the list. Because if you had a few times where you didn't open an email, it's possible you might have been taken off the list. Now we're going to watch that. I'm going to extend that out a little bit because I'm not real crazy about that process of cleaning the list, although because I myself, I know when I go in my email, I can see, I don't even have to open the email. I can see the subject line. I can see the first lines of the email right there. So many times I don't open them. I read them and I respond to them. And I go back and forth. Well, that would mean that I'd be taken off the list because I didn't open the email. So we're going to be doing a few things differently, but I want you to know that because if you did not get an email saying that this course was coming off today, it means you're no longer on this list. I do want to make sure that people have the opportunity to do this. Like we said, we're cutting way down on the amount of emails that we send out. So if we've been sending too many emails in the past, please consider signing up again and bringing your stuff back into it because we are working very hard to make an elite force to where we can send out an email and bring people together for important things on planet Earth. And we're going to be doing that quite a bit. That'll be done with LightMaster in general, but it's also done here with the GlobalLight. So even though the GlobalLight's going to have a specific day every month that we do it, we'll publish that, we also have the point where if we're needed, we come together and we focus on something. Now, I do want to be cautious about this because we have so much division on this planet that it's very easy to offend somebody by working on something over here and they go, oh, no, nothing's wrong over there. That's right. And these people are wrong and so forth. And we've got all these confusion. So what we're going to do is trying to stay out of politics as much as possible and simply go after human suffering, which is huge on this planet. And if we do that, we focus in those areas, in these, and I'm talking about for these GlobalLight things that come together, we will send you an email simply saying the GlobalLight's coming together in 3 days. We're going to try and give you 3 days notice. Now, also that will be 3 days when we do our regular GlobalLight at the end of the month as well. But I wanted to tell you that because we are really working to bring this together and to have, more importantly, to have an effect. That's the idea. So many things are going on. We're seeing inflation go over here. We're seeing this war go on over here. We're seeing OPEC do their crazy stuff. We're seeing all sorts of things. And I will tell you from what the group says, there is energy behind that. This is not just things that are happening. These are things that are happening on purpose. Now, we have different things that we can work with on that. We can try to uncover the people that are going to point to it. Now, it's silly stuff. We're playing the game if we do that. We're going to do something entirely different, and the group will bring it to you in the second channel today. That's the idea. So I hope you enjoy today. I certainly do. I very much enjoyed this. One other thing that I will tell you is happening in the long term. We have so many things going on at once that I want to space them out a little bit. In December, beginning of December, we're starting a new, November, I'll tell you that first. November course is going to be on new body energy centers. So what this is, some of you may remember, we did an entire course some time ago, excuse me. We did an entire course that we taught in several places, all about being able to touch people in certain places with energy centers. There were 16 energy centers that we did this seminar on. We did it in Holland, we did it we did it in Belgium, excuse me, and we did it here in Las Vegas. And then we did it online once. So these are very popular ways of working with people with just touch. There were 16 energy centers coming up. Now the group says there are 7 new energy centers that they want to show us. And they're going to show those to us on the first 2 days of next month. Okay? So that's the focus channels for next month is going to be on that, November. I'm getting confused myself. November is already set. Those are the energy centers we're coming out with, right? And then December we'll do that too. So in November, we'll be doing the first 2 days working with these new energy centers, 7 new energy centers, things where you can actually touch a person or yourself. You can do it to your clients or you can do it to you. That is coming up. So just to bring you back to the overview, we've got the Light Master, which is every single week. We've got the 2-day focus channels. This next month is going to be on the new energy centers, and that's the first two Fridays of the month. So that's the first 2, and that's included in Light Master. Light Master gets those as well. So that's kind of the way we worked it out. Now there is 2 other aspects that we're going to be bringing soon, and I just want to tell you about them. Probably in December for the first time, maybe November, we'll see how it goes. But probably in December for the first time, I'm going to start doing a few private sessions. So that will be something that you can sign up for. They do disappear pretty quick when they do. I will set them out there, try to give everybody notice. You go in and basically choose one, and then it goes back and forth. So anyway, it's a system that we've set up. But I am going to start doing some private sessions, which I haven't done in several years. Also, I'm not raising the price. The price is $395 for 45-minute session. Now, I considered that to be somewhat high anyway, but I haven't changed that price in 20 years. 20 years. That's how long it's been at $395. And I'm going to leave it there. Okay? Just to let you know. I'm going to leave it there. I would love to be able to lower it, to be able to bring things in different things and go against the grain like that, but we can't. So we're here. We're going to leave it $395 for 45-minute sessions. They're recorded. They're video face-to-face, or yours can be audio only. It's entirely up to you. But we'll be setting those up pretty soon. I look forward to this. I love doing private sessions. I really do. And it's not that we go into a channel. They're very conscious channeling. So basically, it's the group telling me to tell you something, basically. And we end up having a lot of those conversations. But they're very profound. And people that have taken them have written me years later telling me all about how things have come through with that. So I'm going to start doing that again. Watch for it. Probably November, maybe December that we set this up, but we'll start doing that as well. Okay, on top of all that, there's another change that will be coming. Again, probably December, maybe even January. And that's that we're going to bring back the Overlight series. Now, the Overlight series was all about healing modalities, spiritual psychology, crossing the veil. There's a lot of them that we've done over periods of time. Actually, the one we're getting ready to do coming up on the new energy centers could probably consider to be a healing modality. But it's only 7 centers, so I didn't want to take more than 2 days to tell about, so we put it over here. But I will be bringing back some of the longer healing seminars. Now, here's an interesting piece about it. We're going to change the name. The name is going to be the Lighthouse Series, for the very simple reason that the group has given me from day one this idea of a lighthouse. Some of you may actually know back in the days of the beacons of light, when the beacons of light first came out, we used that beacon from a lighthouse. Well, now they've given me a different vision of the same lighthouse. So I want to tell you about it because we will be bringing this back. The lighthouse is real simple. The lighthouse has a job. It's a very important job and it's very responsible. What is its job? Its job is to shine the light, and to shine the light on the waves that are crashing, and to shine the light on the shoreline that's crashing so people can see where things are. But you're not responsible for what happens to that boat. And you're not responsible if somebody decides to get too close to the rocks. Your job is only to shine that light as best you can so that they can make their own decisions. And that's not easy to do. This is actually great advice for parents. But we're going to approach that as healing, and we're going to call it the Lighthouse Series for that very reason. We're also going to work on hooking the lighthouses up to each other and being able to connect in those ways. All right, group's tapping me on the shoulder. They say I've already talked too long, so I will bring that back in. But anyway, thank you all for being here. We're going to go into a channel here in just a second. I do have quite a few things coming up that I'll tell you about. I'm also doing since we're telling you all the details about it, later today I'll also be playing a quick video talking about the Shift Network. I have to say that word very carefully because if somehow I leave the F out, it doesn't work too well. But the Shift Network is a huge network about spirituality, bringing on courses and so forth. I have an interview that will be coming up in the Shift Network fairly soon. They're doing a whole process on crossing the veil, basically the other side of the veil. So I was interviewed for that because of the book and so forth, so I'm a part of that series. And I'll be playing a little advertisement about the series as well. You'll also be getting an email for those of you on the list next week about this too. But anyway, all this is going on at once. It's an exciting time to be alive. We are so happy that you're all here and working with us in this way. This is going to be some incredible times to be on planet Earth, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, a lot going on with that. Real quick, I want to take you back over. Just take a break, shake your hands, kind of relax your energy, take a few breaths, and I'll be back with the channel in just a second. Spava, everyone. Greetings, dear ones. I'm Observer. I join you this day in the most beautiful energy. Your light is starting to exceed its boundaries. You're starting to shine. It's magical to see from this side of the veil. We're seeing so many new aspects. And yes, there's a lot going on in many different levels of this planet. right now, there are some critical decisions being made. Oh, yes, we know. In the United States, you're having elections, you're doing all these other things. We're not talking about any of that. We're talking about larger decisions. You see, you've gone through the Great Reset. It's still in motion to some degree. But now there's a new settling energy to have you anchor and find that light and spread those roots out to grow, to be able to work in a different way. So take a breath right now. And just as you release that breath, let all those thoughts dissipate into the air in front of you. Perfect. You can pick them up when you're done here if you'd like to return to those challenges, those issues. But right now, we want to bring you together in the most beautiful healing circle. See, each one of you are conscious creators. You create all the time. You create unconsciously as well. But you have this ability to focus your energy. And yes, you're wearing a veil. It's very difficult for you to see. And yet, you know it works. You know it's difficult for you to prove it to yourself. But now what you're starting to see is all of it starting to work together. And that's unusual. It's also an incredible time to be able to do this, to bring this together. You're getting help, dear ones, from many sides of the veil, even from what you would call beings from outer space. Oh yes, we love to use all the fun little words that you've used to describe that. What are they? Is it something important? Is it something there? You're starting to see more and more of activity. Yes, sometimes you're looking for the spaceships. Well, you're starting to see the spaceships. They're making themselves known. They can't sit and come in and speak to you and talk to you in those ways. But they can make indisputable evidence that they are here. And that alone, dear ones, brings a level of hope to planet Earth. It's a critical time, as we mentioned, because many decisions are being made, even by the Earth herself. As she reaches that 8 billion mark, there's a new weighing going on, a new possibility to find how this can be grounded, how you can bring it together. Take a breath. Anchor your light right in the energy right now. Beautiful. What we'd like to do right at this moment is to form a healing circle. So just imagine that your hands are extended and that there are people all around, thousands of people, holding hands in a large circle. Conscious creators, every single one. And when they know that, they can beam love into that circle. So take a breath. Open that heart chakra right now and just fill that whole circle full of energy. It's a huge circle. Fill it full of love. There you go. Well done. Now, we'll ask those who choose to step into the circle and receive the healing. What does it do exactly? It plants seeds. Plants the most incredible seeds of light, of possibilities for you to go in different directions and do things totally differently. The capabilities are all around you now. And with all these beings beaming that love energy into this circle, it amplifies everything you are doing exponentially. Not 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, but 1 to 10 to 100 to 1,000. It explodes as it reaches for infinity. You're closer than you think. The magic in your heart now extends out. Take a breath. Beautiful. Now, there's many aspects of this healing circle. Some will find that they are putting themselves in there because of physical challenges. We also tell you there are many of the mental aspects as well. We're not even going to differentiate them because it doesn't make that much difference. Everything can be healed with pure love. Everything. So if you have an issue that you'd like to straighten out, if you'd like a little help with it, take a deep breath. And with your eyes closed, step into the circle. Take 2 full steps into the circle now. Good. Excellent. Now with a deep breath, release it, and one more, and hold it. Beautiful. Blow it out. With that, feel all the energy from all those thousands of people beaming unconditional love right at you. Your first intent is to kind of close down and protect yourself because you feel so vulnerable. And then you just take a breath and let it in. Just feel that incredible love. Good. Now anchor that love. Bring it into your being and own it. You own every aspect of that now. Beautiful. Take a breath and release it. Good. When you are home, dear ones, you are all connected. You're part of each other. When you play the game of pretending to be separate, you can't see that. It's hidden from your view intentionally and with great pride. And we get to see you without that direction, still finding your way into the light and doing some incredible work with it. So take a deep breath, dear ones. Know that even as you walk through daily life, even as your spirit shines and leads the way, there are times that you bump into things. There are times that you have what you call an accident. And you've got this beautiful torus around you that's bringing all this energy, wrapping the illusion of time into your field so that you can play the game. And when you bump into something, it puts a little dent in one of those lines. And when the energy comes in through the heart chakra and finds its way into that heart chakra, it almost hurts a little bit. Take a deep breath. With those thousands of people, open your heart completely and allow them to straighten out those lines. Allow them to bring in the energy which will help you straighten out every single one of your lines and put you back into a state of perfection, as close as you can hold on earth anyway. So take a deep breath, dear ones. And just integrate that light. That's all you need to do, is to allow it to be in you and allow it to fully emulate your being. Take another deep breath. Beautiful. And now, before we break up the circle, send all that beaming energy to planet Earth, to the Earth herself, who's going to make many of these decisions coming up. Make sure she's at the highest level possible. It's difficult when there's so much confusion and war and differences going on planet Earth. She's a part of all that. She feels that. It's kind of her job in many ways to anchor that and to bring that together, and it's so difficult sometimes. Help her right now. Send that love into the circle for the Earth. Take a deep breath. And once again, if you're in the circle, step back. We're putting this entire circle, dear ones, into a time bubble. What that simply means is that when other people watch this, no matter when they're watching it, it'll still have the same effect as if everyone was watching it in the same instant. Well done. Now take a deep breath and let it go. There will be more later to talk about, some exciting news. We're very honored to be here in your presence. Yes, you gather to hear words from the other side of the veil, but we gather to feel your presence. You are magicians, each and every one of you. Furthermore, you're very high-level magicians, or you would not be allowed in this crazy place that you call Earth. This was a boiling point. This was a place to really put everything on the game board. Take a breath. You're at the right time, at the right place. Yes, we know you're confused. Many are. But it's not a problem. You made it. And we are very honored to be in your presence. Well done, dear ones. Well done. With that, we leave you for the time being as the show continues to bring you a little more light through different filters, to see it in a different way. Know that you're never alone. We're with you always. And we love you dearly. So the greatest of honor, we ask you to treat each other with respect. Nurture each other every chance you get and play well together. That's the name of the game. I am observer. And I do like to watch. Espavo, dear ones.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, and as an author, editor, TV radio host, and 13 times book judge, I've read thousands of spiritual books and interviewed hundreds of authors and teachers over the years. And I'm frequently asked to share my take on the best books, courses, authentic voices, and genuine skip the BS spiritual guidance for those on a spiritual journey. So back in 2020, when most of the world was in lockdown, I launched the No BS Spiritual Book Club, which is the inspiration behind this new Bookworm section that I'll be bringing you each month. I'll tell you a bit more about the No BS Spiritual Book Club in a moment. First, I want to share with you the very first book that came to mind when Steve invited me to produce this regular segment. In fact, this book impressed me so much that I actually did a series of 6 interviews about the impact this topic has on every part of our lives on my weekly radio show. The book is Decoding Your Emotional Blueprint by Judy Wilkins Smith. And here's why it's my bookworm this month. We're all fascinated with our ancestry. We all want to know the who, what, where, and when of our lineage, the health history we've inherited, and the hidden skills, talents, and characteristics that might be lying dormant in our genes that we could develop. But few of us ever stop to think about the emotional DNA we inherited from our parents and grandparents, the unconscious behavioral patterns, beliefs, and the hidden loyalties that determine our choices, not just in our relationships with family, friends, lovers, and co-workers, but also with money, how we relate to it, how we save it, how we spend it, how we lose it. And we all experience times when old issues, behaviors, and reactions trip us up in our relationships, at work, at home, with colleagues, friends, lovers, you name it. But according to Judy Wilkins Smith, many of the recurring problems and the difficulties we experience in our lives did not begin with us. The words we speak and the actions we take began in the bodies and the mouths of our ancestors. For just as our physical DNA is inherited, our emotional genetics also get passed down through the generations to impact our success, our failures, and everything else that happens in our lives. That means if there's a limiting or unresolved pattern in our family history, it can often show up in our personal and business life as well. Of course, it's not all bad, Judy says. Those patterns do serve a good purpose. And decoding our emotional DNA can help us break those cycles. It can help us understand and shift the hidden sentences, thoughts, and the feelings that run our lives and uncover the buried treasure that can transform our failures into success. Judy says she's been doing this work long enough to know that we all have greatness within us. The only question is, how big are we willing to be? In her work with Fortune 500 companies, individuals, and families, she uses systems dynamics along with a dimensional approach called constellations or interactive mapping to map out issues, connect the dots, and transform people's lives by identifying the inherited family patterns they took from their parents and grandparents and other people that were not theirs and no longer serve them. Reading this book was an eye-opening and deeply liberating experience for me because coincidentally, as I was doing that series of interviews with Judy, my family and I were delving back into our own ancestry to fill in the gaps of my mother's half-remembered stories. And I have to tell you, I was both fascinated and deeply disturbed because we uncovered the proof of what Judy writes about. In fact, I was shocked to find that some of the unfortunate patterns, incidents, and experiences that occurred in my generation had also occurred in my mother's, her mother's, and her grandmother's generation, going back over 175 years. And believe me, patterns like that need to be broken, because if we don't break them, they will play out in the lives of future generations. I don't think it's any accident that Judy's brilliant book came to me at a time when I was learning how much of my past was shaped and influenced by people who, in some cases, I've never even met. The thing is, you know, we all think we're unique. We all think that we have our own personalities, characteristics, talents, gifts, thoughts, and feelings. We think we're in control of our lives and our destinies. And that if we make mistakes or fall short, well, clearly, there's something wrong with us. We're not bright enough or good enough, or we just don't measure up. But that's not true. Decoding your emotional blueprint showed me the truth behind the insecurities, beliefs, emotions, and the invisible patterns that had been driving my thought processes and behavior since childhood. It revealed that many of the recurring problems and difficulties in my life did not begin with me, as yours may not have begun with you. In showing us how to uncover and understand these multi-generational patterns and turn the old traumas and the triggers into transformational opportunities, I think Judy Wilkins has done us all a massive favour. So if you want an astounding new window into your family, your business, your money, or your relationship issues, and a fast track to healing and change, if you don't want to pass on your own limitations to those who come after you, I highly recommend this book. And here's another reason why. The fact is that we're all living in such challenging times that we need every gift and tool at our disposal to gain the clarity, grounding, strength, and stability we need to move through this transitional era. Knowing who we are and what we have to contribute to the world is critical. And in my estimation, this book is a godsend because it really helps us discover that. So do consider checking it out. The title again is Decoding Your Emotional Blueprint, a powerful guide to transformation through disentangling multi-generational patterns by Judy Wilkins Smith. That's quite a mouthful. And it's published by Sound True. So now, let me tell you a little bit about the No BS Spiritual Book Club. The first and most important thing you need to know is that it's free to join. There are no ads, no gimmicks, and there's no BS. just an ever-growing library of 10 best lists from trusted authors, speakers, teachers, and people that I personally invite to share the books that influence them the most on their life journeys. People like Dan Millman, Don Miguel Ruiz Jr., Lee Harris, David G., Amit Goswami, Pam Gregory, Andy and Jonathan Goldman, Iyanla Van Zandt, Regina Meredith, and many more. So if you're tired of some of the spiritual fluff out there and you're looking for something that's really worth your time and money, check out the NoBSSpiritualBookClub.com, where you can view past episodes of my video interviews and add your name to our Save My Space list to get last-minute reminders of upcoming episodes. And since this book is also the No BS Book Club's Bookworm this month, you'll find a free downloadable excerpt of Judy's book on her page, and you can listen to the 6-part series of interviews that I recorded with her. One final thing before I close. Maya Angelou once said that there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. If you feel that you have a book in you, but you don't know how to begin getting it out of your head and into the hands of those who are waiting to read it, check out sedgbeer.com, which is the home of the No BS Spiritual Book Club. Click on the Work With Me tab and find out how my experience helping others tell their stories might be just what you've been looking for. That's sedgbeer.com, sedgbeer.com. That's it for this month. I do hope you will consider decoding your emotional blueprint, because I happen to believe that ridding ourselves of any baggage that we've been carrying that doesn't belong to us is the best thing we can do for ourselves, our loved ones, and for the generations that follow us. That's Decoding Your Emotional Blueprint by Judy Wilkins Smith. That's the bookworm for this month. I'll be back next time with another bookworm for you. Until then, be well.
Hi, everybody. So nice to be here with you on the Global Light broadcast for November. Let's jump right in. So what I want to talk about this month is the concept of seeing is believing, or what I call the formula for thriving and success. This is very closely intermingled with the energies of self-love and appreciation. So if you've been watching my segments for a while, you know that I like to put forward a concept in the beginning, pull it all apart and talk about it in the middle, and then bring it all full circle in the end to give you some valuable tools and concepts and insights to really think about how you can start to apply them in your life. So, appreciation and self-love, we know, are two of the most important tools that we need to be working with every day now. We need to be finding things daily that we appreciate, that make us feel aligned, because things happen in our brain and in our subconscious minds when we do this. It happens unconsciously whether we're doing it or not. Unfortunately, what most of us are doing most of the time, that science has shown, is that we're walking around 95% of the time having the same thoughts today that we had yesterday and the day before that and the day before that. They are conditioned patterns of beliefs, thoughts, behaviors since we were college age. In our early 30s, late 20s, in and around college working age. By then, we are ingrained in our beliefs and our patterns, and we just continue to project them, attract back, and stay in this loop. So we have to, if we're not living the things we want to be living and feeling the way that we want to be feeling, or if we want to be improving, we have to break those unconscious loops. How do we start to do that? Instead of grappling with the biggest problem you're trying to solve right now, go smaller. Find things that are obvious and right out in front of you. So what I mean by that, for example, is I live in New England. It's really easy right now to take a drive and look at all of these fantastic fall colors. It is delicious here right now. It is so beautiful to see all the big red oaks and maples, golden poplar trees. It is stunning in New England right now. We also have an abundance of organic farmers here, and it's apple season and it's pumpkin season and it's all those warming spices for digestive fire, right? It's turmeric and ginger and cardamom, and it's apple crisps and apple pies and stews and soups, and it's really, really easy to appreciate so much that's around us that can help put us into a state of positivity. When we are in that state, our brains literally are wired to release oxytocin, that love hormone, that feel-good hormone. So we literally are helping rewire our brain and create new synaptic pathways. That's going to be important in a minute. In hypnotherapy, we are always looking for what blocks that, what's in the way. So it's custom work, Most of us have programming. In fact, everyone has programming. Everyone on this planet has some form of programming, and here's why. The critical factor that you've heard me talk about before, it's that association-making mechanism. It comes online about the age of 7, matures between 7 and 11. So what's happening before we have that reasoning mind coming into play, where we can interpret data, associate against programming or thoughts or beliefs and patterns that we already have ingrained in our subconscious mind? What's happening before that? Well, from birth to 7, everything is going in as programming. Why? Because we're wired to survive. We literally have to rely on our caregivers, our authority figures, to survive, for all of our needs to be met. We're not able to do that as babies. And so everything is, hear the word, projected. All of that is projected onto us, even by the most well-meaning of parents. Everybody unconsciously projects their beliefs, even if they're well-intended, well-meaning. So we are acquiring information. All of that is going right into the subconscious mind. It's bypassing the conscious mind because we don't have the ability to associate and reason yet. So it's going straight into the subconscious mind, where the subconscious mind keeps every single memory of every experience you've ever had. And then what happens? We become negative dominant, because we can have all kinds of positive experiences, but the ones that caused us pain, the subconscious mind will keep at the surface, because its job is to keep us safe. Its job is to always move us away from pain and towards pleasure. So it keeps it right at the surface. So what do you think we are associating all of the data we are taking in from the world against? Against our negative programming, in effort to what? Keep us safe. The subconscious mind governs our autonomic nervous system. Our bodies are how it communicates. This starts to become really important. You start to see that if you're not doing things consciously to put yourself into a state of parasympathetic drive, of resources, of positive feelings of appreciation, then we are only able to project from our negative dominant programming and what? Attract back, hear the words, people, places, and things that match that programming. That is what we call creating our reality. It is literally how we are wired. So if we are not doing something to change our negative dominant programming designed to keep us safe, if we are not literally collapsing that and infusing that and anchoring that with positive resources, changing that negative programming into positive programming, we are living in a chronic state of negative programming. And that creates what? Stress. Stress creates what? Inflammation. I did a big piece on that a few months ago about chronic inflammation and how that is affecting our ability to think. See, when the subconscious mind receives information from the critical factor that there is stress. Now, think about the world today, right? Our brains are 2 million years old. When we were living in caveman days, we knew that if we saw a tiger while we were out gathering, that we had to get to safety. So the subconscious mind's job is to keep us safe. What happens in a millisecond? In a millisecond, it shifts the autonomic nervous system into sympathetic drive. What happens? Blood flow shunts away from the immune system, from the reproductive system, from the digestive system. Now, what does that mean today? It means we're not digesting well. Our gut microbiome is compromised. Conception is more difficult. Our immune functions are suppressed. And where else? The higher thinking mind, prefrontal cortex. Our ability to make good decisions is being diminished. What's happening? Dendritic branches in the amygdala are growing from chronic stress and inflammation. What does that mean? We don't want that. What that means is we are more often in a state of division and anger with the inability to think clearly and make decisions. So that's starting to make sense for what you see, what you hear on the news every day. This is what's happening in our brains as a result of chronic stress. We have to start to break those patterns every single day. Why? Why the repetition? Because that's how our subconscious mind learns. It's also how we shift into parasympathetic drive every single day. With my clients, we do a hypnotherapy practice multiple times a day. We do session work, but then you do work at home. Why? Because when you learned how to ride a bike, you didn't do it once. You had to do it over and over. When you learned how to speak a language, you had to practice it. The subconscious mind, when you learned how to drive a car. But tell me, you never forget how to drive a car. But have you ever had the experience where you're driving home and you don't even remember how you got there? Right, your subconscious mind drove you home. Why? Because once it's got it, it knows it, and its job is to keep you safe. So, if you start breaking this negative loop, we start to really see that that requires the ability to see a future before we have proof of it, right? We have to believe in it in order to see it. So seeing it in our mind, even though we don't see it out in front of us yet in our reality or on the screen of space, becomes something that literally rewires our brain, and it reorganizes our filing system in our subconscious mind. That's what we're doing in session work and clinical hypnotherapy. We have to find specifically what your negative beliefs are, where they came from, and we have to collapse them. You can't just work with everything's okay, I'm fine, life is good. You can't lie to your subconscious mind. It knows you intrinsically. It knows every cell that created you, and it knows how you're supposed to function. But it's the information that it's receiving from how you perceive the world. And you perceive the world based on the projection of your negative dominant programming. Are you starting to see the constant loop that everybody's in? Now, if you're doing this 95% of your day unconscious, it starts to explain some things, doesn't it? So how do you thrive in this world? Are there people thriving in this world? Yes, absolutely. But you got to change the patterns that you have unconsciously, and you've got to get into your own programming and reorganize to make that positive dominant. If you remember, when we learn to strategically block out what's being fed to us, if you remember, I talked about this a couple of months ago in that segment with inflammation. I gave you some alarming stats. I'll get into that in a second because they've been updated, and I looked at that updated information and I want to share that. But if we don't learn to consciously block out what's being fed to us, and I say that strategically, not to be alarming, but I want you to think about it. When was the last time you heard something on any news organization in social media that wasn't to create a shock value. That doesn't mean it's not happening in the world, of course not. But is it equally balanced? Are we hearing just as much good news? Are we hearing about the people that are helping other people? Are we hearing about the young students that are doing amazing work with agriculture? Are we hearing about anything good? Is it an equal playing field? No. So what does that mean? Do you feel like an equal in the creation ability that you have when you hear that information? I don't think so. I don't think we see ourselves as equals. So what happens in our mind? I want you to really hear this. This needs to land. They become the authority figures, and they are projecting all the fear-based information. And what happens? That bypasses the critical factor, goes right in as programming. Subconscious mind shifts the body into sympathetic drive. And now we are no longer able to think straight, make clear decisions, and we feel angry and divided day after day after day. You got to start to see yourself as an equal creator if you're going to be listening to the news, if you're going to be on social media, if you're going to be engaged in your technology for hours every day. You need to give yourself equal time as your own creator being, choosing self-appreciation, self-love, and reorganizing your ability to associate against your negative programming. You have to be able to become positive dominant so that what you hear doesn't shift your body into chronic stress, that you're able to put that aside and balance it out with your own ability to what? To create the reality in front of you. How? By believing in it before you see it. How? By the daily practice that you keep. You must be an equal player. Does that make sense? Is that starting to make sense? So some of the statistics, this is why I want you to really hear this. I gave you some mental health statistics a few months ago when I did that inflammation piece, or I think it was the chronic stress piece. As of right now, 1 in 3, so 30% of young adults between the ages of 18 and 25 experience a mental, behavioral, or emotional health issue in the past year. 26.9% of teens aged 12 to 17 have one or more mental, emotional, developmental, or behavioral problem. 36.7% of high school students reported feelings of sadness or hopelessness in the past year. This percentage is higher for females. They are skewing at 46.6%. Hispanic students at 40%, and lesbian, gay, or bisexual students at 66%. Among college students, 29% have been diagnosed with anxiety, and 23% have been diagnosed with depression. Now, what is that in the body? Chronic inflammation. You heard me talk about that from the studies and the science, from the clinical trials from Dr. Daniel Amen and Dr. Austin Perlmutter on that piece in inflammation. I spoke all about this. And our negative thoughts are contributing to the inflammation in our brain. Inflammation in our brain presents as depression, anxiety, chronic fatigue. Our bodies start to break down. If we don't have regular blood flow going to our immune system, if we are in a constant state of stress and sympathetic drive, our bodies begin to break down. So, in 2021, 43% of 18 to 29-year-olds experienced symptoms of depression, compared to 21% in 2019. So in 2 years, that number doubled. 48.5% of 18 to 29-year-olds screened positive for anxiety in 2021. That's half, 48%, compared to 11% in 2019. These are the numbers that are staggering. This is what's happening with our young people. They are also happening in our adults. And if you are watching the news and having these conversations around your children, you are the authority figure. You are projecting your fears. They take them in as truths, and we just continue the genetic lineage, don't we? So all of a sudden, using daily tools to line up with appreciation, to line up with self-love, becomes literally how we rewire our brains. So if we start to use a daily practice I want you to really hear this, that anything can happen. Everything becomes possible to you. So I want to tell you a couple of clients that I worked with recently. One, because I just was astounded at how quickly this turned around. I was working with one client who had a lot of emotional pain. She was in a legal battle, and I have permission to share the story. I never talk about clients unless I've spoken with them first and they've given me explicit permission. So she was in a lot of emotional pain. There was a court battle with family members that literally was about whether or not she was the biological child of her father. Now imagine what that can actually compound into over decades of time. Who am I? My literal existence is being taken from me, all over inheritance and a battle about other things. So in session work together, we had to go back and find some of that negative programming that allowed that to become the dominant truth, that allowed her to stay in this state of feeling powerless towards this. And then we found all the resources, because your subconscious mind has every memory you've ever experienced, and not just from this lifetime. So you have all kinds of resources. They're not on quick recall. Because why? Because it keeps your negative programming dominant to keep you safe. Once we collapsed that dominant negative programming and we were able to find the source of that for her and then reprogram in her worth and her beauty and her intelligence and her capability, we were able to anchor that in the timeline. We were able to work with that and become positive dominant in less than 4 weeks. We wrote a suggestion together that was about using and utilizing that divine problem-solving intelligence that's within each of us. That's also known as the superconscious mind. Superconscious mind is the field. It's everything inclusive, but it flows to us and through us. How we express it out and use it is completely up to us on a moment-by-moment basis. So when we programmed into the subconscious mind that we were utilizing the divine problem-solving intelligence within her to locate and bring to her easily the proof of that documentation and complete this whole experience in a just and fair way, documents that had been missing for decades were delivered directly to her in less than 4 weeks. They were mysteriously found in a place that had never been looked at when things were being cleaned out in a house, and delivered, hand delivered right to her, exactly what she needed. So why did it happen? How do we create that reality out in front of us? Well, we have to find what's in the way of it, reprogram it, and then program in what it is we want. And the subconscious mind doesn't judge you as worthy. You are already worthy. The energy that creates worlds flows through you every single day, all day long. How you choose to express it is based on your programming. So you see, it's all about the programming. You got to get in there and collapse what it is you picked up that's not true anymore. We talk a lot about personal truth in hypnotherapy, because once you find out what your personal lie is, you know what your personal truth is. You got to work with that every single day, because the subconscious mind learns through repetition. And once it's got it, that's all it does. It's its job. Its job isn't to judge or analyze. It just orchestrates the circumstances out in front of you. You project from what you believe and attract back that which matches it. People, places, and things. Hear those words. People, places, and things. This is how we are creating our reality. So, going forward, there's a structure to thriving, isn't there? There's a path and a blueprint to doing well no matter what is going on around you, or always being able to make a good decision in a quick period of time, to be able to tune in and trust that super conscious information flowing through you. That's what intuition really is. It's the ability to stay connected and not shut off. That blood flow isn't shunted away from the higher thinking mind. We have resources. We're in parasympathetic drive. The body's relaxed. We have a positive dominant belief system around our abilities and capabilities and our worth, and it flows to us. There are always people who thrive in times of chaos. How you are going to be one is the path and is the blueprint for you. So it is, in my opinion, that is such a personal journey where in clinical hypnotherapy, we have to collapse the specific programming that you have because it's different for everyone. So I want you to really understand that it's not anything to do with how well educated you are, how long you went to school, what experiences you had, whether you're single, divorced, children or not. None of that matters. You are an equal player on this playing field with your creation abilities, but how you project from your dominant programming and how you attract back is the loop that you're in that I want you to start to think about. How can you start appreciating every day, getting into that level of appreciation, self-love, and nurturing? How can you start to consciously work every day with reprogramming your subconscious mind's beliefs and understanding how it's communicating to you? Do you know how your subconscious mind communicates? It communicates in 4 main ways. It's always through our body. It's random thoughts, feelings, memories that come out of nowhere, and our dreamscape. We are in subconscious when we are dreaming. So pay attention. If you're not feeling well before we jump to judgment about why and who triggered us and the catalyst, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean those circumstances are appropriate or okay. I'm not giving them a pass. But if it's active within you, it becomes your ability to see, ooh, I've got an old negative belief within me that's activated and I need to collapse that. I give you tools in clinical hypnotherapy of how exactly to do that specifically for you so that you live with the tools independently to manage yourself in this world because you came here to thrive. I actually believe, in closing, that one of the most important things to take away from today is what a time of mastery we are living in to literally know how to believe your future before you see it, to walk that path, to enjoy, hear the word, enjoy that journey, because we can't be pushing against it and receiving at the same time. We can't be blaming everything and receiving and thriving at the same time. You cannot occupy that at the same time. So we have to be doing our own due diligence to see our future, right? We have to believe in what we are seeing because the subconscious mind doesn't know whether it's happened yet or not. If you are working with imagery, and I'm going to get into that next month because it's another whole piece, but imagery is incredibly profound. It does not know the difference. So if you are seeing in your mind the future that you have and believing it in your programming, then the subconscious mind just does its job. What a path of mastery when everything else that's being projected at you is in complete opposition to that. Certainly doesn't sound like that's a coincidence to me. Does it to you? I don't think so. So with that, I'm going to wish you a blessed journey. Know that you are capable. Know that you have all kinds of tools to learn how to work with your subconscious mind. If you ever want to investigate that with me, I would be more than happy to set up a free 30-minute consult with you and talk about your specific blueprint to creating the life that you want to be living and feeling the way that you want to be feeling. That would be an honor. I want to turn it back to you in the studio and say thank you as ever for inviting me into your hearts and into your homes. I hope my pieces are valuable and give you a lot to think about. You are an equal on this playing field and do not ever forget that. And you deserve to be living the life that you want to be living in a time where you can thrive. I promise you that. Bye for now. Until next month.
Hello and welcome to the astrology report for the next few weeks going into November. My name is Alison Chester Lambert. Well, exciting times here in the UK with a Prime Minister that lasted precisely 44 days. And you'll find if you go to my Facebook page that I said that she couldn't possibly survive because we have feminine energy rising, and she was a very masculine character. And at the moment with feminine rising, all these masculine actions of wanting to go for growth at all costs and start fracking and all the mega stuff, all these lovely ideals that she had, they're not going to wash. The feminine energy is determined, and I think actually there is a core inside everybody which actually senses this and feels at peace with the feminine and wants to rest, wants to relax, wants to withdraw. And I think that collective need, rather like when we had the lockdown and actually everybody secretly said, actually, I'm enjoying this. I think everybody's going to sort of embrace this, and the energy therefore grows and grows and grows. And so big masculine moves at the moment. I'm not, I don't think there's any support for them cosmically. Okay, so let's have a look. So we've got the sun moving into Scorpio on the 23rd of October. And it moves in conjunct Venus. So Venus and the sun slide into Scorpio as one. It's always an interesting thing to get Venus in Scorpio, a Venus associated with Scorpio. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, and it's opposite to Taurus, and Taurus is ruled by Venus. So combinations of Venus and Pluto and Scorpio and Taurus are normally abound with issues to do with feelings, but it's two different types of feelings. Venus is an earth planet and brings a very earthy and sensual, desirous nature. She's an attractor, and so she wants to attract that is successful, wealthy, desirous. And Pluto, Scorpio's nature is also about feelings, but it's about emotional feelings. It's about the chemistry in our brains. It's about hormones. And it's about the lust and love in a big way, because Scorpio's deep, erotic love and intense, sometimes jealous love for things is a very fixed motivation. So anybody ruled by Scorpio is bound into their feelings in a very deep and bonded way. And this feeling stuff emerges with the opposite sign as much more earthly led, so much more senses led, sensual, as in the taste and the smell and the feel. And so that's really the kind of atmosphere we're falling into. Now, I've used the words falling into there very specifically because I get a great sense at this time of the year, particularly in the UK and the Northern Hemisphere, when summer is very quickly collapsing, but we see the change around us in a remarkable way because nature puts on her finest colours when the trees are all their gold and their bronze and their red. And then we get usually a huge storm and all the leaves come off the trees at once and everything goes bare quickly. When nights are closing in, it's getting dark, it's getting colder. So there's a very obvious change and a very obvious death, a real strong suggestion of the dying season. And of course, Scorpio, Pluto, strongly associated with death and the death process, which is a feminine process at the end of the day. Okay, so we've got this huge process of the dead, the dying, moving towards the end of something. And of course, there are those who see this as the beginning of the year. So when we're in Scorpio, they see that ending as the beginning of the new year. And I think there's a lot of sense to that, to be honest with you. I think, yeah, I really kind of get that. Because of the strength of Scorpio's hold over the underworld and transition and regeneration. So when we're looking at seeds going into silos underground, ready, so their generation is primed and ready for the new season, but they're in the dark now, sort of almost like gestating, then we do get this sense of gestating and just really kind of brooding and breaking down and getting ready for a cold which actually brings the promise of the new year. Anyway, there's me waxing lyrical. We are also entering eclipse season, and this has to be sort of highlighted. So this means that the sun and the moon are in an alignment, which means that when they get together in the same part of the sky, or when they oppose each other and the earth is in the middle, because of that exact alignment, there will be an eclipse. So we have a partial solar eclipse on the 25th of October. Now this is 2 days after the sun has moved into Scorpio, so the sun is only at 2 degrees of Scorpio, and that's quite kind of like, it's an important place, really. It intensifies and it closes a light very suddenly and very quickly. The fall this year from the sun in Libra into the sun in Scorpio is rapid, intense, and free fall. We will all practically feel ourselves in a lift. You know, when you're in a lift in a high building and it goes down and you feel everything's sort of, the rest of you is up there and the feet are down there. We will feel like that on an emotional level, but almost a physical level because of the association with Taurus and Scorpio, as I was saying. So we'll feel this plunging into an abyss, the dark, and it will be a strange feeling because we've been in the light with the sun in Libra. It's an air sign. And it plunges us into our feeling realms, deep inside our soul realms, if you like. If you've ever seen The Phantom of the Opera, this is when he takes her into his lair and they go on that boat. I love the feeling of that. It feels... I look at the astrology and I get an image of that. So, okay, a solar eclipse is all about the moon and the sun being in the same part of the sky, an intensification on Scorpio, and so rapid degeneration, breaking down, potential for regeneration. It's all very dark. I mean, it's not to be feared, actually. I think it's more to be, I find it awesome, as in filled with awe. I find a sense of awe when I'm going into that place where I think, whoa, it's not so easy to see anymore and things are difficult to define. But the most important feeling for me is the feeling of, I can't find the words. This cannot be talked about. This could only be felt. And the feeling is about feeling and listening to the soul, because normally the soul isn't heard too much because the head chatters and the spirit is always bursting with energy and hasn't got time to stop. But we're plunging into the soul world. And so this is the time to not hear your soul, but feel your soul. so you can have a talk with your feminine side and the feminine side of Gaia, the feminine side of cosmos as well. So take the time to do that. This is not a time for excitement. Okay, so the planets then trundle on, and I'm just going to move to the lunar eclipse of the 8th of November. Right. These dates seem as if they have importance politically. I think the 8th of November is important in the States. Looks like the 25th of October is going to be important in the UK because of movements, political movements, which I won't go into now. But anyway, so looking at this lunar eclipse that I'm looking at now, this eclipse is a powerful one. It is very tied up with the planet Uranus, which is at the moment square to Saturn. The tension there is almost palpable. So Uranus is the new and the innovative, and Saturn is the old and the stuck in the mud. Saturn's representing Earth here, which is something that needs to be preserved. Status quo needs to be preserved. Fear around losing anything to do with security. Whereas Uranus is saying, that's it, uproot, uproar, breakthrough, breakdown. And as we're already in this subterranean Phantom of the Opera scene, this is, it's all got to feel like we're in kind of, and there's a lovely sentence that Darren Hayes uses, we're doing deep sea diving in a raincoat. That's it. So we have only the protection of a raincoat when we're deep sea diving, and I very much get that. So what should we do? How should we feel? I think our feelings are going to be hunker down, withdraw, and I would agree totally. This is the right thing to do. I think we are being directed. The sun is in Scorpio. That's it, and there's no better time for us to take this opportunity to explore those realms, the duat or wherever. Let's take that on board. Let's move with it alongside my theme of this year, which is the rise of the feminine. And for your own self, I would say that everything you do needs to have a feminine aspect to it, a yin aspect. So have a quiet and introspective, introvert sort of reflection to things that you are contemplating or doing, and you'll be in the right place. Let things come to you through feelings. Could be a very interesting time. Okay, so I will see you next month, and I hope that was interesting. Don't forget to have a reading with me if you want. It's simple. You just Google Alison Chester Lambert and you'll find me, and there's a page to book it, and you fill out a booking form, and I love it. I love talking to you. You have to do it on a Skype though. Skype is the video conferencing mechanism that matches my astrology software. So get familiar with Skype first. Anyway, lovely to see you. Namaste, and see you next month. Have a great month. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Hi, everybody. You're welcome. I wanted to bring you a little. I think I got a little stuck there. That's all. Don't worry about it. We'll play it again in a minute. Hi, everybody. You're welcome. I wanted to bring you a little information about what we're going to be doing in November. Now, we have the new system where we have Light Masters coming for all 4 weeks. They will get what we're going to talk about. But you can also just sign up for the first 2 weeks of the month. And that's what I want to tell you about right now, because we're going to be talking about new body centers, new energy centers within the physical body. There are 7 new energy centers which have surfaced that you're going to start being able to use in a different way. And for those of you who are healers, these are places on the physical body you can touch, you can work with on your energetics to work with your clients on. And for those of you who just want to use them on yourself, we'll show you how to do that as well. But there's 7 new developing energy centers in the physical body that I think you're going to find very exciting and very powerful. We're going to cover them during the 2 days. And then, of course, we'll continue on with that process for the other days in the month as well with the Light Masters. So you can join either the Light Masters and just join us for the whole month, or you can just join us for the first 2 days. But we're going to be talking about new energy centers in the body. Now, we've done a class a couple of years ago, several years ago, called the Hidden Light Codes in the Body. And we discovered 16 hidden light codes that could do certain things. This is very similar to that. This can be used in a lot of different ways. These are new developing energy centers which you'll be able to work with. So come join us for the 2 days coming up in the Evolution Center here at aspavo.org. Aspavo, everyone. Greetings, dear ones. I am the Keeper of Time. I join you this day with great pride, for you have moved so much energy in such a short time. It's absolutely incredible for us to watch and see how you're moving. And this day, I'd like to give you a little advice, opportunities to use a different tool. Excuse us a moment. There we go. There are so many aspects that you can use to work your way through life on planet Earth. Different things that you can do all the time that you can work with that are always there. We wish to share that with you today. Tell you a little bit about what is coming, where you are, and how you can move past a lot of what is going on right now. So you have several things taking place, all of which are in appropriate time frame. So keep that in mind, dear ones, for what is taking place is rather interesting. Right? Yes, the planet is changing. Everything having to do with the planet is changing. Much more of the energy is going to be shifting in so many different ways, and there's so many aspects to go through to get there. And of course, every time you go through these changes, there's all these emotions and difficulties and challenges within the physical being. And it's also very easy to take a side, move over here and say, I am one of these people, or I am one of these people. And that has been very successful for people that wish to take you into sides. Why would they like to do that? Well, it's very simple. If people can separate you, they can control you. And that has been going on for eons of time on planet Earth. One of the key elements. So what we wish to give you this day is an opportunity to look at this from a different perspective. You'll notice that even many of the things that have gone before, we're talking about perspective. Well, that is an interesting piece, dear ones, because you are creator beings first. So many times you can actually choose and create your perspective. And many times when you run into challenges, whatever that is, whether it's an argument or simply disagreements about things, and people that you have to go with and live with going forward. Many times it's difficult because you end up walking away saying, oh, we're on the opposite sides of that issue or that change. And of course, there's politics all over the planet, not just in one place. But politics is all about dividing you, is it not? It only works most of the time if one can divide you long enough to have you vote one way or the other. Interesting. And it's taking place more and more. So much so that most of your systems, including your democracies that you value so much, have been gone for some time now and probably will not return in the way that you originally thought of them. And yet there's more of this is taking place on a daily basis. So let's assume that everything is trying to separate you. For there's much that can be gained by separating you, by bringing you over into this group or taking you into this group. So one of the aspects we're going to give you, dear ones, is how we see you. Because we don't see you in that way at all. We never have. The way we see you is fairly simple. We see you as these grand beings that have come from home and have lost all your memory. You can't remember even your last lifetime. You can't remember much about what was going on even before this lifetime took place. So with that, you get involved. You get only to where you can only see the next step that's in front of you. You can't actually look 10 years down the road or 50 years down the road. Very few people do because you're in survival, which is exactly where they want you. Now keep that in mind. There are many who benefit from that. So how do you avoid that? How do you avoid being roped into one area or another? How do you avoid being driven into sides and differences? Well, dear ones, you're all spirits. So what if you went back to that place? Now, that's the whole idea. We've been talking about this for a long time, but today we really wish to focus on it because you have critical issues that are coming up on your planet right away. A lot of them have to do with the earth herself. So don't think we're talking about politics. We're not. We're talking about decisions you're going to have to make going forward in your own life and in the connection with planet Earth. So, with this, let's give you the tool. For what if it was possible to jump into our space for just a moment to see whatever situation you want? Well, that is possible. And we're simply going to call it the third eye perspective. Yes, you've imagined that you actually have a third eye growing in the center of your forehead there that can see everything from the spiritual perspective. But isn't it also interesting that your physical being has two eyes and your spirit only has one? Your spirit only needs one. You don't have duality at home. You don't have all that division and that connection at home. So to see things from the third eye perspective means you must pull back far enough to see the spirits playing the game. And that's what we do. We don't see the mistakes you're making. We don't see the decisions you're making. We don't see the path that you've decided to take. All we see is you, your spirit, from home, because that's where we know you from. That is where you know everyone else from, even those that you're walking past in your daily life now, even those that you might call enemies or on the other side of your thinking. Much to that. So what if it were possible at any moment where you're having this discussion and you realize you're in the opposite side of someone else, what if it were possible just that moment to touch your forehead and to move into the third eye perspective? What would you see? You'd see exactly what we see with you all the time. We'd see two spirits pretending to be human. Two spirits that have grown up with all the influence that you have. And it's really interesting because in politics and all the other stuff, everybody has their own divisions and their sides, most of which they grew up with. Yes. a fascinating way to look at things, and yet it's very difficult to actually make your move forward in this sometimes. Because the only way it works, dear ones, is if you work together. And right now, as we mentioned, your democracies have pretty much gone the wayside for the simple reason that you're not doing this anymore. Now it's winner take all. It's gone. Now, the question is, how can you return to a space, not necessarily a form of government or anything of that nature, but how can you return to a space where you're getting along, where you're finding the connections, where you're honoring someone who has a different view than you? It's a third eye perspective. So what if you could touch the third eye and move into that perspective where you could see another spirit that you know really well from home, but you're on the other side of something having an argument right now? Well, that's the time to do it. When you pull back far enough, you see that you're all spirits playing a game. And you also see that those games have a lot to do with what is in your field every day. Yes. You're influenced by what you see all the time. So you would think, oh, well, I'm just going to be very careful about where I put my attention and where I see. Well, you may be. But what if you were able to just pull back to the third eye perspective? What does my spirit think of this? Now you're into an interesting situation, because it's really your spirit that's animating your physical body. It's really your spirit that is behind all of it. Your entire experience on earth is for the spirit. So what if you were to live your life from the third eye perspective? What if you were able to see that you were all beings from the same place, all having similar experiences, and yet you grew up in different places. You had different influences when you were growing up. And you were taught about friends and enemies. You were taught that there were people that you needed to fear on the planet. You were taught all sorts of things that maybe were taught to you out of a good nature, and yet only separated you further. The separation is huge. And it's one of the most important things having to do with the evolution of humanity, dear ones. Yes, when things get difficult, everyone's going to point a finger. Oh, here's the problem. And of course, they want to distract it. If you're the problem, you're going to point over there and say, no, here's the problem over here. These are the problems. And everyone's going to point to some sort of problem that is going to, once it's resolved, your life's going to be perfect. Humans, you have such fun ways of doing things. That separation is huge. And if you can work with just that third eye perspective for just a short time, you'll start to see that there are no enemies at all. You'll start to see that there's no right or wrong, that there's all different versions of different things that you're working with. And you have capabilities of how to do that in every single moment. Your light is getting brighter. So the question becomes, how do you use it? Are you going to play the game and pretend to play the game the way you've been playing it, or you dare to move into the third eye perspective? And you start to remember all these beautiful things and people you knew. And even your greatest enemies on earth can be dear friends of yours at home. Breathe, dear ones. Feel that connection of light growing even further. Once you start to move into that place, you own it forever. The first times you're able to actually see someone from that perspective, you will always think of them from that perspective from then on. Even if they turn out to be even more of your enemy, step even further in an opposite direction of you, you'll still see them as a spirit that you once knew and perhaps were even friends with. Breathe. Feel that light. Let it anchor every part of your being so that you can feel it. Those are the connections that everyone feels, dear ones. Every single person. So if you can pull back into that third eye perspective long enough, see that you're the spirit. Your spirit is having an experience on planet Earth. Find those connections. Connect into the third eye perspective every chance you get, because once you do, it changes from that point forward. You change from that point forward. You step out of duality and start stepping into something that's much more important than a political party or a side of an argument. Breathe, dear ones. You are responsible for your own energy. No one else. So as people are pointing around saying, here's your problem, and here's your problem, and here's your problem, the only problem you have is here. Only one. Find that one. Work with this to begin with. Know that your spirit is having a perfect experience. And that you're here with more. Take a deep breath. Anchor that light. Light grows stronger every day, dear ones. Others will see it. Yes, some will fear it. Some will try to put you in your place. Some will try to separate from you. Because many times your light means that they have a responsibility to carry their light. So some people you will threaten even with your own light. Do not let them separate you. Let's move into that third eye perspective and see that you're just spirits playing this beautiful game. That works. Then, all the plans that have been made to separate humans, to get them angry, to take sides, to point the fingers, all the rest of it goes by the wayside as the spirit emerges. The third eye perspective is real. And is yours, always. Well done, dear ones. Know that you're never alone. There are spirits of your energy all around you. Well done. Well done. And it is with the greatest of honor, dear ones, that we ask you to treat each other with not only respect, but with love. You're all spirits playing this same game. If you can make their path easier, your path becomes much easier automatically. You're playing the same game. Oh, yes, you may be on different sides of a fence. Get rid of the fence. It's time. You will connect in so many different ways. If you're not able to connect over here, connect over here. Find the ways that you are alike, and the planet will start to change very quickly now. You have help from not only from the other side of the veil, but from your side of the veil. There are beings that are starting to help. You're starting to see them. You're going to have more and more reports of what you call UFOs. Well, they've actually changed the name of that now. Yes. Starting to move into reality because you're not separate from them either. You're all part of the same game. Wait till you find that out. It's coming fairly quickly now. Many of the divisions are starting to move. So if you were a being visiting planet Earth from another planet, what would you see? Would it be possible to move into the third eye perspective? It's the only way they can do it. So we ask you to do the same thing. Find that light, move into it, and know you're all connected, plain and simple. You're all part of each other. That connection is so incredibly strong and powerful. Strengthen it, make it grow, work together to create that energy, and you will change the planet that you're on right now. Well done, dear ones. Treat each other with respect, nurture one another, and play well together. I am the keeper of time. Even time itself is beginning to change. We can't wait to see what you do with it all. Welcome home, dear ones. Welcome home. You are loved. Aspavo. Okay, and with all that, been a busy day. Been a wonderful day. Well, just wanted to thank you all for that. Thanks for being a part of the energy here today and part of the work that we're all doing. We're all part of this together, and if we can just hold hands long enough to know that we're all the same, we'll make a big difference on this planet. The energy's here. Welcome home, everybody. Make this a really special day. Special opportunity for all of you. Very special thanks for everybody. Sandy Sedgbeer, Meg Adamson, Allison Chester Lambert. Thanks for all your work. Nick Pneumaticos, thanks for being our webmaster in our work. Kathy Moran, awesome work. Elena Era still has a huge influence on this, on everything we do. And of course, Meg as well. So thanks everybody for being a part of it. We will return next month with more from the GlobalLight. Aspavo. Hi, everybody. You're welcome. I wanted to bring you a little information about what we're going to be doing in November. Now, we have the new system where we have Light Masters coming for all 4 weeks. They will get what we're going to talk about. But you can also just sign up for the first 2 weeks of the month. And that's what I want to tell you about right now, because we're going to be talking about new body centers, new energy centers within the physical body. There are 7 new energy centers which have surfaced that you're going to start being able to use in a different way. And for those of you who are healers, these are places on the physical body you can touch, you can work with on your energetics to work with your clients on. And for those of you who just want to use them on yourself, we'll show you how to do that as well. But there's 7 new developing energy centers in the physical body that I think you're going to find very exciting and very powerful. We're going to cover them during the 2 days, and then of course we'll continue on with that process for the other days in the month as well with the Light Masters. So you can join either the Light Masters and just join us for the whole month, or you can just join us for the first 2 days. But we're going to be talking about new energy centers in the body. Now, we've done a class a couple of years ago, several years ago, called The Hidden Light Codes in the Body. And we discovered 16 hidden light codes that could do certain things. This is very similar to that. This can be used in a lot of different ways. These are new developing energy centers, which you'll be able to work with. So come join us for the 2 days coming up in the Evolution Center here at aspavo.org. Aspavo, everyone.